perspective is everything. There is no such thing as right, wrong, good, bad, or ugliness, or true or not true. There are only degrees of the same perspective, of simply perspectives. And every perspective needs to have a reference point, a frame of reference. That's what we'll talk about today. Welcome to my channel. My name is Gabriel. I'm your personal mindset trainer today, and I will do my best to show you how can you change your perspective, understanding, framing, and reframing, and how to transform pain into power. So, what is framing and how does it work? Framing is a mental structure that is built upon your core values and beliefs about yourself, about circumstances, about the world, about life in general. So it's a structure that you use to give meaning to given events or circumstances. Your frame shapes how you see the world. Your frame is a reference for how you see the world, how you see others, and how you interpret life in general. Frames can be positive or can be negative, can be within your control or can be out of your control. They can help you or they can destroy you. So they can expand your opportunities in a given situation and possibilities, of course, in a given situation, or they can limit your options. Knowing this, the first thing you have to become aware is how your software works. This is the first thing. This is the first thing you have to become aware at any time. Because if you understand how your software works, you will understand that you can change the story, you can change the software. You also have to understand that the frame of reference you use collaborate with your core beliefs and core values. And for that, in order to take control of your frame of reference, you need to understand your core beliefs and values. You need to become aware of your core beliefs and values. And if you don't know how to do that, you can check the lessons about core beliefs and values that we have on the channel, and you will understand it. We have 2 lessons actually about core beliefs and values, or you can make your own research. It's not necessarily, absolutely necessarily to listen to our lesson, but you should first, and then from there start your research and learn a lot more about core beliefs and values, because those are the most important things. Those are the things that shape your frame of reference. You cannot possibly have an opinion without a frame of reference, without a reference point. You can't have an opinion, because we always have to compare with something. So reframing is basically a linguistic tool used to consciously change your limiting beliefs or change your limiting frames to help you support your desires. Otherwise, if you think the same way, you will have the same results. If you believe in the same way, you will have the same results. It cannot be possible otherwise. So reframing does this by interrupting your old unhelpful thoughts with new interpretations of and perspectives of reality that are more helpful, more supportive of your desires of objectives in life. In other words, reframing put your events and circumstances in a different context that is more favorable, and by changing the meaning of an event or experience, you put yourself in a more positive and resourceful state of mind. And by doing this, instead of sabotaging yourself, you are adopting a more useful way of thinking and, of course, of doing things. This attitude helps you overcome your personal limitations and boundaries, and also can help you overcome phobias and fears and even trauma. Reframing, to put it simply, is like changing the picture in the picture frame. Okay? The frame doesn't change, but the picture within the frame is different. In other words, the situation hasn't changed. The situation is the same. Your view of the situation is now different than before. And there are two main types of reframing. There is the content reframing and the context reframing. So let's see those things, how they work. So content reframe means that you shift the meaning of the behavior. So it depends on what kind of behavior you choose to focus on. That's what it means. Depends where you put your focus on a certain behavior. So the same situation, for example, the same situation, the same event, the same thing can generate a positive behavior or a negative behavior. For example, imagine that you are stuck in traffic, right? So this can lead to frustration or everything associated with frustration, or the same situation can lead to self-reflection, to meditation, to using the time to listen to an audiobook or learn something new, okay? To have time to be with yourself, which is very important, right? When you have such a situation, you can ask yourself certain helpful questions in order to change your reframing. For example, how this event might be useful for me. What might be useful about this experience, this circumstance? And you can answer in a number of ways. You know, I can be with myself for a period of time. I can meditate a little bit while I'm sitting stuck in traffic. I can think about my future when I'm stuck in traffic, right? I can plan my future. I can do a number of things. You can think in a number of ways that the situation can lead to a positive behavior. Or how else could I interpret this event? How else could I interpret this event? Or what could I potentially learn from this event? Because you can learn from an event. So, for example, you are stuck in traffic somewhere, change the route, or use some navigation, or leave earlier or leave later a little bit so you don't get stuck in traffic. And there are a number of ways that you can answer to this question. Or what's positive about this situation? What can be positive about this situation? So this is the content reframing with the example. Now let's see about the context reframing, because this is important too. And the context reframe shifts the interpretation and the perception of a certain behavior. How's that? Every behavior can be good or bad. Okay? In almost all behaviors, let's say almost all behavior, we cannot generalize this, are useful or appropriate in some context. A behavior that might be not acceptable or helpful in a context might be quite acceptable and helpful in a different context. And let's give an example. Being assertive, okay? being assertive and pushy might not be acceptable when working with small children. However, being assertive can be very helpful when dealing with a teenager, for example, or with bureaucracy, or with a pushy salesman. No? You have to be assertive at that time. You have to stand up and say no, okay? When it's appropriate to do that. So that's context reframing. So what is unhelpful and hurtful in one context can be useful in another. When you are faced with such dilemma, ask yourself those questions. How this behavior helped me in the past? You know, because a certain behavior probably helped you in the past. How this behavior, this certain behavior, being assertive from the example above, how this behavior helped me in the past? And you also can answer in a number of ways, in a positive way, or in what context could this behavior be useful? Or in what context could this behavior be appropriate? Because this is very important too. In some contexts it may not be appropriate. Okay? So you answer those questions, or you look for positive ways to answer those questions in order to change the picture in the frame, to change the interpretation and the meaning that you give to a certain event. That's mainly what framing and reframing means. And this process of reframing can work real magic if you cultivate awareness on this matter. If you become aware and not just react in traffic and give the finger when you are aware, not reactive, it can work miracles. And it also works very well if you make it a part of your daily life. And it will take some discipline and practice, believe me, but eventually reframing will become automatic, okay, like any other thing, like driving. And it will become automatic in a positive way, because now it is automatic, but in a negative way. That's how we are used to think negative. And that's an explanation for that I will give you in a different lesson, why our brain tends to think negative and not positive. But if you put a little discipline, if you put a little work on this, the positive possibility can become automatic as well. Brain doesn't know anything about this software or that software. Whatever software you put in your subconscious mind, that software will go on automatically. But you have to put it there to repeat it for a time, you know. I don't think 21 days is are enough. I think maybe more 60 days will be enough to get this habit imprinted in your unconscious mind and make it part of unconscious framing and reframing, positive framing and reframing. And think about when you started to drive. When you started to drive, you didn't just learn how to drive unconsciously in 21 days. Come on, you needed a lot more to be a master of the wheel and to be a master on the street. It takes a lot more for the reactions of driving to become unconscious. So it will take some time to reframe things in a positive way as a habit. So be careful and be aware and be willing to do this, because it will really help you. And if you decide to take full control of your past and present, I have more valuable information for you about reframing, but that will happen in the next lesson. So stay tuned for the next lesson, and if you didn't subscribe yet, please just hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you will know when I put new content. And if this video helped you, I will appreciate it if you comment, if you ask questions, which I will answer, and if you'll share it with others. I'm sure you know people that really need to change their frames of reference, to be more positive, or because sometimes we need that, but we don't know how. So there is how. We have 3 lessons on reframing. So it's pretty important. It's a pretty important subject. So pay attention to it. And all my content is free and complete. And the only thing you will have to ever pay is attention. That's all. And I do this because I believe in you. I believe there is incredible potential within you. And I look forward to see you on the next lesson and on the next level. Until then, I wish you all the best and God bless you.